Demons of Chaos are one of those factions that right now, if you're a skilled, experienced player, you can make them do some incredible things. They've got a lot of really good units right now, even with some very minor nerfs, I would say. What was it to, like, the Skull Cannons, and I think Seekers might have got a very, very minor nerf. But even still, against a faction like Kislev can potentially cause some issues here. Strat Game's going to try out a certain strategy to help combat the Demons, which is to play against one of their main downsides, their relatively small numbers and expensive costs. It's going to offset that by taking a 20 stack of tough, sort of low-tier Kislev units. So we've got Kislev Warriors, we've got some Armored Kossars up front, second line of Kossars, we've got the Ice Witch. He does have a pretty decent mount in the Frostworm. He did get a little bit of a nerf, slight armor reduction, but again, nothing too extreme. Kislev did also, yeah, get some nerfs. Horse Archers here, Crossfight Dervishes, although I don't know, one thing I haven't really talked about too much is they actually, like, increased cavalry turn speeds, I think, across the board for a lot of different cavalries. I don't know if that actually applied to Kislev cavalry. It might have given them a small buff in that way. But, yeah, we see some Tzeentch's Firestorm being unleashed in the front line already. Or is that, yeah, Warp Flame effect there from the, Exalted Pink Flamer. We've got Fiends and plenty of Bloodletters as well. Exalted Bloodletters. So some nice armor-piercing anti-infantry to go after that. Kislev infantry, yeah. Dervishes, Horse Archers on the flanks. Plenty of light cavalry. And, of course, Demons don't have a lot of armor either. So that non-armor-piercing bow and gunfire can definitely trade very nicely against them. Time being, Demons kind of... excuse me, still a little bit sick. Not wanting to just fully YOLO charge, commit in, trying to kind of develop some different things, get things into position. But, yeah, now it looks like they are going to close the distance, kind of catching Kislev on the move a little bit as well, so not all their units are shooting. Bloodletters obviously going to trade just fine into Kislev Warriors, but it's really just about buying as much time as possible to let these Archers, another unit shoot in here. You can see one unit of Bloodletters in the center already suffering pretty badly, but so are those Armored Kossars. I mean, they're getting eaten by Fiends and Exalted Bloodletters. Definitely not good time for them. And the Exalted Flamer as well, taking aim at the Ice Witch. See, not making the best contact, but some pretty good damage so far. Seekers also pushing through. But the Horse Archers and Dervishes are ready to start dropping some rear charges. Again, because the numbers situation, Kislev has multiple units unaccounted for by the Demons right now that can come in, get some rear attacks. Even the Horse Archers pulling out their sabers and blades and charging in. They've got great hybrid stats, so they can definitely contribute here. Some extra bodies, even if they're not up to quality. To the Seekers, again, every little body helps when you're trying to take down a relatively low armor unit like that. The Exalted Flamer also gets bogged down by Horse Archers in the back line. And the Ice Witch came in, took a bunch of damage. Exalted Lord of Change, it's definitely not a pushover. Great combatant, but now a little Cycle Charge, going to pull back in. Use that Frostbite to try and control some of these movements right here, especially like these Fiends. Not being able to Cycle Charge like they probably want to is pretty impactful. Cavalry providing some mass to keep things stable here as well. And yeah, it's just going to be trying however they can to take down whatever units they can. Using every tool available to them. Very Kislev appropriate, even on an appropriate map as well. Somewhere here in the northern old world, fending off this herd of Demons. But yeah, the Fiends going to be trading pretty nicely. The Fiends is another unit, you know, controlling their movements is super important, trying to get them in situations where they're taking, like, chip damage from multiple low-tier units. It's ideal to just drag them down. Right now, balanced power pretty close. Big Bird's going to land, try and get another big gobble, gobble, gobble on the on the Ice Witch there. Doesn't get a huge amount of damage on that initial charge, but ooh, that nice big spike animation, spikes his staff in the ground, twirls his wings. Unfortunately, the Fiends are not long for this world, and just in general, the Demons units are starting to run out of steam. That said, Big Bird is still holding very significantly on the balanced power, especially since the Ice Witch has taken so much damage. Narcissism, silencing, and freezing the Ice Witch in place. He's eventually going to make it away there, screening through some of her warriors. But at this point, it's pretty much just Big Bird versus the world. There are some Exalted Bloodletters here as well. But that Exalted Flamer going down. Yeah, a few more Exalted Bloodletters kind of scrapping where they are. But just given the numbers, yeah, you can see Kossars, another unit's able to shoot in from the rear. Meanwhile, little final transmutation on the Ice Witch. Ooh, Big Bird's going to peel and choose not to try and finish her off here. Of course, just relying on that to try and do the trick. Will it be enough? Oh, the damage is just shy. Oh, that's painful. It was really, really close on the estimation. But ultimately, yeah, with just a few HP left, Norm's going to commit to try and chase it off in strat game. Doing his best, just rally his remaining troops together. You can see the balance power now does favor him pretty significantly, mostly because Big Bird doesn't really like getting shot by archers much, and he's relatively slow at this point, exhausted as he is, so very tired. And now, historically, like Sarthoril in Game 1 and Game 2, not only had missile resistance, but had animations on the ground that made him incredibly hard to shoot. I almost wonder if it would have been more advantageous, and I don't know if the animations set is the same as it was before, but I'd be curious to see. I mean, here on the ground, you can see as he's casting a spell, stand stationary for just a moment. He's going to eat a lot of arrows during this time, and Straking can just continue to feed him kind of these weakened melee units, which, granted, they're not each going to stick around very long, but he's got a few of them to feed, and the whole time the Horse Archers, the remaining Kossars, just getting their arrows in. Yeah, you can see his ground animations. If he kind of runs around a little bit, charges between different targets, he can be very, very tough to shoot, but especially exhausted, it's going to be a little bit slower, and just in general, doesn't have enough left in the tank to take out all these units. So yeah, it ended up actually proving pretty effective. Now, granted, I do think this build from Lenorm, you know, he's trying some stuff out here, don't get me wrong, but yeah, he's got some pretty solid elements for sure, some scary things that you would want to see in this matchup, and ultimately just the numbers game works out great for strat game, even though his units all take horrific losses. You know, they get the damage done they need to even out the value, and especially the Horse Archers in particular are a really nice pick to go unaccounted for here. Use their bows to really good effect to shoot out some high value targets while they have the numbers advantage and can fight in melee, you know, as we saw there, especially supporting in like a rear charge or something. Just in general, being able to output value in a bunch of different ways. That flexibility is kind of the trademark of Kislev, and Horse Archers end up being the carrier here. Also, one Kossar with like 1,100 damage value. Pretty good stuff there. And then, yeah, I mean, here, the one interesting thing I would say, I mean, I guess I haven't really played with the Skull Cannons too much since the nerf, and I do think the Exalted Flamer is a little bit cheaper anyway. But probably would be better to have the Skull Cannon in that place. Other than that, I mean, a lot of this build makes a lot of sense. But ultimately just took some damage on the approach. These few Bloodletters, especially regular Bloodletters, just kind of getting pounded out there. But the Exalteds, even with the damage they take, they come in and pay for themselves. So, interesting for sure. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.